So let's analyze the PDP's manifesto. They just had a show in Osun State yesterday. They had in Lagos some days back. And as you've seen, we're joined on the program this morning by Dr. Atiku Pierce, who is the member, PDP National Presidential Campaign Council, is also Lagos State Coordinator, Atiku Okowa Presidential Campaign Support Groups. Good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Were you in Osun yesterday?
Not in Osun State. We just had our own on Monday, so we're still trying to recover from the Monday event. From the Monday event. But being a Southwest event, I imagine that you also should be part of the Osun event. Well, I should have gone, but I couldn't make it. Okay. Not that there was any issue. Oh, no. Okay. Because we always need to check these days. But seeing what played out in Osun State, I mean, without your hitherto only governor in the Southwest before we now have the Usher State governor. And then in Lagos again, what played out? You didn't have your chieftain, the chieftain of your party in Lagos, Chief Bode George, who's, a major figure in that party. Would you say that your party is really moving at the speed, the momentum it ought to, seeing the showing in Lagos and in Usher State without those key figures? Are you satisfied with the showing? Very satisfied, because what you're having in our party is a transition and a change, adaptation to the current state of affairs. A lot of changes going on in the way we do politics these days, in both parties, in all the parties. So in Lagos, yes, Chief Bode George was not there, but he has not been around in the party as such for quite a while, since we had a Congress last February. So he has not been really, and he has shown that he has said clearly it's not with the program. Therefore, there was no need for him to be there. And as you saw, there was no problem. The place was jam-packed, and we had a program. Which one, the one in Lagos? The one in Lagos and the one in Osun. The Southwest leader at some point in time, he was the only governor we had in the party. He's not the only governor now. So we move on. What do you define as jam-packed? I know it's always tricky these days. I mean, using crowd to measure support a party. And sometimes it might not be the real indication of support. For the Lagos, you said it was jam-packed. How much crowd did you have, really? Well, about 20,000 people. Could have been more, but we had enough to, we had a very short period, by the way, to plan that rally.
Authentically PDP supporters, all 20,000? No,
the ones that were there,
I'm asking if they're authentically PDP supporters, the entire 20,000 crowd.
How would you know?
I'm asking you, it's your party.
Look, most of the people who show up
or are they rented crowds?
I can tell you this. Believe me, PDP is one party that does not even have the capacity to rent crowd. We don't do it. We don't need to. People who are in PDP, Lagos especially, are dedicated people who have decided that in spite of the problems we had in Lagos, where we've not won any major election in 20 years, they're still in the party. These are dedicated people. People came to that rally. Some of them came on their own. Some leaders put money together, rented bus for their people, brought them there. People are committed to the party, especially because we have a presidential candidate who is unique and head and shoulders above the rest of the candidates running in this election. And therefore, they came with enthusiasm, they came with passion, and that's why they were there. So our party is moving on. We are ready to go and take over and help Nigeria improve the condition of life that we suffered in the last 8 years for the people.
Without intending to digress, before we leave Osun, let's just quickly look at, happenings in that state. And just as, the new governor took office, there were reports that some of the policies that he began to implement included the sacking of 12,000 workers. There's been a debate about the exact number, really, and we're waiting for the state government to clarify. But when he was going to resume office, it was touted as the light that was coming to Osun State. I wonder if this speaks to, what is to come for the PDP administration should it win in 2023.
Well, in every state, there are peculiarities I think what you have in Osun State is the suspicion that Governor Adeleke has that there are too many ghost workers in the administration. And the previous governor actually made some changes, he made some appointments, he made all sorts of things to satisfy himself at the expense of the interests of the people.
12,000 is quite a number.
I don't know how many. You said it yourself, we don't know the number. Whatever it is, if the former governor appointed 15,000 ghost workers and this new governor says 12,000 must go, then everything is in order. So let us see the man in performance and then we judge how the new governor will perform. But the fact that he sacked so many workers is because of what happened just before the administration changed hands. The former governor decided to make all sorts of appointments, new laws, and so on. So that's what he's responding to.
And I think it's quite interesting, that point, really. So if your party were to win at the national level, would you be expecting, radical, drastic changes? Is that what Nigerians should expect immediately?
What you see in one state has nothing to do with the presidential project. What you want to find out if Atiku becomes the next president of Nigeria is what he will do.
Right.
And he has said that clearly in everywhere he has gone. He has this 5-point agenda, which will restructure Nigeria, which will unify Nigeria, which will develop the economy, which will secure Nigeria, and which will focus on education as a fundamental basis for human capacity development and general development of a country.
Which is the point I'm trying to make. What shape, what form, and what time frame will it take? Will it be drastic, radical? Will it be fast and quick? Because, Nigerians have gone through a lot generally. So I want you to help them understand the thinking of your candidate. Is he, as I say, hitting the ground running if he were to win? Will he be as drastic, as quick?
Atiku is experienced. Atiku is deliberate in the way he does things. He understands that fundamentally changes have to be made. This is not superficial changes that appear to be good and quick and fast. No. First and foremost, I think what is most important for him is to be able to convince the National Assembly that the 1999 Constitution must be reviewed and that we must have a people-friendly constitution, a democratic constitution, a constitution that decentralizes government and allows the states to develop so that they can take care of their business and develop use their natural resources to develop their various jurisdictions. So once he gets that, now you are getting the fundamentals in place.
But on that point you made about the 1999 Constitution part of it, how will it be different from what we have seen this administration still trying to achieve, by the way? We just heard that some state assemblies have not even assented to some of the recommendations in the constitutional review. So how will this be different? First, this will be dependent on whether or not you have a majority in the National Assembly. This current government has a majority in the National Assembly, but at that lower level, they're still having major challenges. So how will this be different?
Where there's a will, there's a way. Atiku has started talking and working on the way he would restructure Nigeria for about 8 years now. Looking at it, studying it, talking to people, and I got to tell you something. The National Assembly, whether they are APC or PDP, most members of the National Assembly want a change. They also understand that things are not working in Nigeria. And Nigerians must hold their representatives accountable and say to them, we want these changes done. Therefore, when you go to Abuja, make sure that you vote in this line. We are going into a situation in Nigeria different from we've ever seen. You're not going to find people voting only on party lines.
Doctor,
no, it's going to be policy and issues.
You're saying where there's a will, there's a way.
Yes.
Are you riding on wishful thinking, or you're talking, based on optimism that under the administration of Atiku Abubakar, the National Assembly, he will secure, majority vote in support of critical issues in the Constitution review, i.e. reduction of powers from the center, state policing, local government autonomy, which are critical to development. Are you optimistic that, he will secure the majority support needed from the National Assembly to actualize some of these issues?
The reason I use the terminology, if there's a will, there's a way, is because under Buhari, the will was not there. He said it from the beginning. He didn't want to hear anything about 2014 confab. He didn't even want to be briefed on it. It's on record. He said a 2-page interview in Punch of that period. Now, Atiku, on the other hand, is fully committed to this. And I know Nigerians want this change. You will not have so much IPOB, you will not have a Yoruba nation, you will not have a Ijaw nation, everybody clamoring for change. They want to leave this union if you do not decentralize, if you do not get them involved. Because what is going on now with the center, with so much power, is that this disenfranchise so many units, and Atiku has been working on this. Atiku, when he was vice president, argued for local government direct reimbursement to local government.
Perhaps I should just be direct with the question.
Yes.
Is he going to get the support of the northern groups in the National Assembly?
Well, again, Nigeria is at the brink of collapse. It would take a man like him, who comes from within, to tell people in the north that, look, if this thing is not going to be in your interest, I wouldn't do it because it will not be my interest. I'm doing it because it is in all our interest. And by the way, the reason I myself began to believe Atiku, that he would do it, because a lot of people told me, they say, he's a Fulani man. Northerners are enjoying government now. Why should they change? And that is relevant. However, Atiku has seen that actually Northerners are not enjoying anything. They are in power, but they are suffering more than anybody else. So it takes a man who is from them to explain it to them that we're actually suffering. And it will be in our own interest. And by the way, talk about natural resources, which has been deprived because everything has been in the exclusive list for so long in this 1999 terrible constitution.
Right.
Now, it will not be in the exclusive list again. The Northerners are now beginning to see that they have more mineral resources than we have in the South. Atiku has seen that, and he has said he will let his people know, and their people are beginning to see it now. Belatedly under Buhari, they're beginning to see that they have their own resources. Phosphate, bauxite, gold, uranium, all in the north.
Right.
So once he's able to convince them, since he is convinced himself, and he understands the benefit, I think he'll be able to convince his people.
And I think a lot of Nigerians will want to know how this will be different, because some of those promises, they heard them in the past. I mean, he was...
You never heard these promises in the past.
APC at some point.
You never heard...
To that extent...
This is the problem with journalists. Please, please.
The question I'm
do not mislead the Nigerian people. Do not miss Nigerian people by saying that we heard it in the past.
I have not.
You never heard it in the past.
You've not let me land on my point.
What you heard in the past was the Buhari who said he wasn't interested.
My question. So the question I'm making, or the question I'm asking, the point is this. A lot of people have heard, they can really say that they have heard this in the past. And that is a truth, whether you like it or not. The question about restructuring Nigeria, a question about ensuring that they appropriate power devolution. Those are things they have heard. But the question is that how will this be different in terms of the operationalization? And let me bring you to this point.
From whom did they hear it in the past?
They've heard it from literally all of the candidates. We were just speaking to other candidates earlier.
It boils on the president. In our constitution, the way Nigeria is run, it depends on what the president wants to do. That is why we can gauge. Once you have a president who says, I'm not interested in restructuring, there is not likely to be restructuring. If you have a president that is committed to restructuring, there is a likelihood, nobody knows tomorrow, we can only gauge by what we have seen, and we can say that an Atiku presidency will usher in a new Nigeria, a restructured Nigeria.
And I think that's the point you have made yet again. Nobody knows tomorrow. They can judge from the promises, yes, but it's not enough to really see it happen. And that's the point I was trying to make.
I think the point Kade was trying to make is really that there have been constitutional conferences, even under the administration, which your presidential candidate served, that weren't delivered on. So based on that point, sufficiently Nigerians have heard the promise of devolution of powers in the past beyond this current dispensation that haven't been delivered. So what are the assurances that these promises this time will be delivered?
This is the difference. The difference is this, like saying when Atiku was vice president, he tried to do this, he tried to do that. There's a difference between the vice president and the president. The powers you have then are different from what you have as vice president. That's why we're saying, watch what the man has done, what he did when he was vice president.
But he didn't have those powers, as you said.
Yeah, well, even the powers he had or the suggestions he made is what you look at. And then you use that now to judge that if he actually has the powers, what will happen? That's why I said, in my own opinion, an Atiku presidency will usher in a new Nigeria, a restructured Nigeria, which will improve the economy, improve our security situation, and help to unify this country, much more so than before. Everything depends on, look at the presidential candidate. When you say we've heard it in the past, you not heard it in the past from the president. What you heard from the president was not what Atiku is saying now. That is the difference.
Well, we have to anchor at this point, really. I understand that this is an ongoing conversation, and we have to ask these questions and ensure that Nigerians see the point and get
that's why we get the answers.
Assurances and ensure that at least we do right by the people of Nigeria. But we'd like to thank you so much. It's always an interesting one with you. Dr. Atiku Peres is a member of PDP National Presidential Campaign Council. He's also of Lagos coordinator, Atiku Core Presidential Campaign Support Group. So where's the next stop for the PDP, by the way?
I'm not sure. I've not looked at that schedule.
The schedule.
You see, when you have your own rally, it takes so much out of
we have to run now. We have to run. We'll do this another time. Thank you so much, Dr. Peres. Well, we're back in just a moment. Well, the conversation continues. It gets even interesting, so please stay with us.